I feel especially women tend to struggle more with this, is we look for validation externally. We want approval, approving messages from people around us. And that's why loving ourselves becomes such a difficult thing to do. So I think we need to realize the only opinion that matters is what we think of ourselves. And that's like a really lasting way. And it's something that grounds you and really helps you build a foundation of, being proud of who you are. Yeah.
Brilliant. Oh, brilliant message to all the women out here. Hello and welcome to the Success with Savita podcast, where we share hot tips on how to do life and business without losing your mind. I'm your host, Savita Nanjappa, entrepreneur, high-achieving 9-to-5er turned transformational success coach, helping you create a wildly successful business. Come hang out with me and other fabulous humans like you every week for stories and chats packed with a healthy dose of tips, resources, how-tos, and real talk. Side effects may include a happier and more confident you with each passing day. Welcome to a very special episode which is airing on International Women's Day. And to all the women listeners, I wish you a very happy Women's Day. And I hope you find a way to honor yourselves and celebrate yourselves, not just today, but for every day of the year. For this landmark episode, I would like to welcome a very special guest, Ankita Chaturvedi. I want to share a little bit about Ankita before we get started. Ankita is an engineer turned entrepreneur, a content creator, beauty influencer, and trained makeup artist from the Makeup Forever Academy, Paris. Her journey began in January 2011 with a tiny WordPress blog while she was a BTech student at IIT Mumbai. Over the next few years, she turned her passion into a full-time profession, and today, in the 10th year of her career as a first-generation content creator in India, she has a dedicated community of 1 million plus followers on YouTube and Instagram. Join us in our conversation as we talk about body positivity, beauty at all sizes, and building unshakable self-confidence and self-belief. Hi, Ankita. Welcome to Success with Savita podcast and to this really important and special episode that we are doing for Women's Day. And in this episode, we are going to be talking about building unbreakable self-belief, the importance of embracing body positivity and beauty at all sizes, which I borrowed from your bio because I love that line. I think it's so apt for the conversation that we are scheduled to have today. And for everyone who's listening, Ankita joins me today from Manchester. Welcome to the Success with Savita podcast, Ankita.
Hi, Savita. Thank you so much for having me. I feel really honored because this is such a, important episode, Women's Day. So I'm so pleased that you reached out and we could take out the time to do this together.
Thank you. Really appreciate you making time at such short notice. And I was looking at your work and I was looking at your Instagram feed. And the one thing that I didn't realize was that you are an engineer. You were an engineer. Now you've, gone into the beauty world.
Yeah.
And so I just want to start right there. What I want to ask you is, you've had a really interesting journey, right? From being an IITian to where you are now, which is one of India's top beauty influencers, a makeup artist, and a content creator. How was the journey? And can you share that experience for the audience here today?
So it's been a little over 10 years. I completed 10 years in January this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I started looking into beauty blogs. I didn't firstly know that something like that existed. So in 2010, I was in my third year at IIT Bombay, and I recently joined swimming. And I was getting a lot of hair fall and my skin was breaking out. And I didn't really have good skin and I didn't really know how to take care of my skin. I used to use some very generic face wash and that was all I used to do. So I just started searching for, how you can get rid of acne or pimples online. And I came across so many beauty blogs and it just opened up a whole new world for me. And I thought that was just so cool that women were trying out products and then sharing their experiences. And I've always liked writing. So I thought that could be like a really cool hobby that I could, try out new products. And, you're at that age where you really want to experiment. I was 20. and you get excited by new things that you see. I also have like a little bit of background in art, so that's why makeup
Okay.
really excited me at that stage in life. I actually wanted to leave, not leave engineering, but like complete my degree and then become an artist. So I used to paint all the time. So
Okay.
somehow makeup kind of tied in with that, and it just felt like something really exciting. So I started reading more. I would go and buy products. I realized, okay, my skin is quite oily at the moment. I need to be
Mm.
using products suited for this. So slowly my skin started improving, and I started writing. People started following me. It has happened very organically. So there was no point where sort of I went viral or I blew up. I think
Mm.
that happens more today with Instagram, and while TikTok was around, and even YouTube, that a video goes viral and overnight someone becomes very well known. But for me it was a very slow and organic journey. So I started by writing a blog,
Mhm.
and by the time I was graduating, I decided that I wanted to try this full time, because it just ignited such a fire inside me. I felt so passionate about it. Like I used to write 3 to 4 blog posts every day while
Okay.
studying and doing all of those extracurriculars at college and everything. So yeah, once I graduated, I started doing it full time. In January 2013 is when I started my YouTube channel.
Okay.
So I used to do like picture tutorials on my blog. So it
Mm.
was like I would do, click pictures at each step for the eye makeup and put it together on a grid. And a lot of people started asking that it will be so much easier for us to follow if you could do this in a video.
Mm.
At that time, I didn't really have a good camera, so I waited and finally got a better camera, DSLR. Started shooting, and in the beginning, I've always been quite shy. I don't think I'm shy anymore, but as a growing up and until my, I would say, early mid 20s, I was very shy. So I felt really conscious, like putting my face and my
Mm.
voice, because when you're writing a blog, even though I
Yeah.
did take pictures of my face, there's a certain like a filter, or like a little bit of boundary between you and the person who's consuming your content. So in the first few videos, I didn't even put my voice. It was only eye makeup,
Okay.
and music in the background with some captions to explain the steps. And then
Okay.
slowly I started getting more confidence. So I started doing full face tutorials, and speaking to the camera directly, instead of just voiceovers. Because when you're doing it for the first time, you just notice very tiny things about yourself, like why does my mouth move that way, why am I doing this with my eyes. You started noticing your mannerisms
Yeah.
and you become really conscious. But over time, with practice, I started getting more comfortable. So yeah, that's kind of like the beginning. So I've learned everything by myself: how to
Okay.
take good pictures, how to handle a camera, how to photograph myself,
Mm-hmm.
how to edit videos, how to handle the different platforms, because I started with a WordPress blog.
Right.
So I had to learn and understand everything about running a website and a blog and SEO, all those things.
Yeah.
Then came YouTube, so the
Mm.
whole doing videos. And then Instagram started picking up. So although I still have a blog, um, I don't write as much, but
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the things I want to do more this year, because I really enjoy writing. And my main focus is Instagram and YouTube.
Right.
And yeah, I did beauty for so long. And then maybe about 2 years ago, and more so last year, I wanted to talk about, all these things that I had gone through in my own personal journey, self love, learning to accept my body.
Mm.
And I realized like everyone is struggling with this, because for the longest time I thought it's just, my shame that I feel ashamed that, I don't fit into a normal size and I'm not thin. But
Mm.
then I realized, with conversations with other women, that everyone feels so insecure about their body, no matter what size they're at. So I thought, yeah, let's talk about this. And I got such a good response from my audience, and everyone was like, we want more people to talk about this, I can relate to this. And that's how that side of things got integrated more
Okay.
heavily into my content.
Okay. I can resonate on every part of your conversation, right from doing it all yourself, because most solopreneurs are wearing all the hats,
Mm,
and they're struggling and they learn as they do it. Second, doing that video, oh, that's me. I can raise my hand up because
mm,
yeah, that first video is, or many videos, like, why is my face like that? Why do I speak like this?
yeah.
Yeah, and I never knew my face. Like when I'm speaking, I make some weird
Faces,
expression.
and the way you laugh, you notice like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't look very nice when I laugh, my nose crinkles like this, and all these little things you start noticing and start feeling really conscious about,
Yeah,
because it is
absolutely.
scary, like putting things out on the internet for anyone to watch and
Yeah.
comment and judge. And sometimes the internet can be, really nasty place as well.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Like you get a lot of that. But before we go into actually how you deal with trolls, I do want to talk about your, this past year and this past.
Mm,
Since we went into lockdown, and recently
mm,
you shared your picture of wearing a swimsuit for the first time in the public
mm,
beach.
mm,
How did you work yourself up?
mm.
Because everything you shared so far is exactly what goes on, no matter how. I guess there must be some percentage of people who are really confident, but a lot of people think of all of these things. How did you work yourself up for that moment? Was it planned? Is it happened spontaneously? It came naturally? What was it like?
So I realized, the few pictures I had done where I was styling and showing my entire body instead of just this,
Mm,
little section of my face, that was getting like a lot of response from everyone. So my team, and last year I hired a team, so and my team was also then encouraging me, like, we need to do more around body confidence, body
mm,
positivity. And I thought, okay, so I started by doing a few pictures with a photographer friend.
mm,
And I'm just shooting in my home at that point. And I'm not sure where the idea really came from. I think it was from my photographer friend, because he was just saying, if we go out of Mumbai, we'll get a lot more place to shoot.
mm,
We'll get great lighting.
mm.
And he was suggesting we could go to, nearby places. We can go to Alibag, we can go
Yeah.
to Mahabaleshwar. So Alibag was our first shoot.
Mm,
And all my shoots have been, we financed it ourselves.
mm.
And it's not been sponsored by any brands. It's just completely been a passion project.
Yeah.
So our first trip was Alibag. It was the closest place we could go to, and we wanted to do. This time was around, I think, August, September, I would say. So festive season was coming up, and I always
Yeah.
do a lot of festive content. So we wanted to shoot in some saris and some
Mm.
festive outfits, again, which were not provided to us by any brand. We bought it all
Okay.
ourselves, like
Okay.
simple outfits. Um, we had so much fun in those 2 days, and the pictures that we posted, it just blew up. Like it got like 10 times more engagement than anything else I've posted on my Instagram. And people were just feeling like so represented, because I was wearing a sleeveless blouse and I don't have the most perfectly toned arms. And so many women said, like, I want to wear sleeveless, and but I
Mm.
just feel, so conscious that I've got flabby arms.
Right.
So that really gave us the motivation to do more of these shoots. So, and the timeline of me moving to the UK was just like 2 months ahead. So
Mm.
we thought, let's try and shoot as much as we can. So we explored these different themes. Our next shoot we did, we shot at ITC. We planned a wedding shoot. So this time we contacted a couple of small designers, and we sourced a few outfits.
Mm. Mm.
And so we did a full, bridal shoot with 6 outfits. And then we thought, okay, what's next? And we thought, and I said, I don't know where it came. I think I was just so excited by how this was going, how much I
Yeah.
was feeling motivated, how much people seeing this were feeling motivated. And for me, it was swimsuit is the ultimate thing. that's when you're not hiding
Hmm.
with any kind of clothing.
Right.
It's very simple, and it is something I personally have struggled with a lot.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like, I hadn't been to a beach or even a pool in the longest time. Only once I started dating my fiance James, he is a big fan of, anywhere we stay he wants to go to the pool and get some
Okay.
sun. So I had to buy a swimsuit because I didn't even have one, and
Okay.
I felt just so conscious. So for me, swimsuit was the one thing that scared me the most.
Hmm.
Being seen in a swimsuit, like nowhere to hide. People can judge you as much as they want. They can say, oh,
Right.
you're too fat to be wearing this and that. Yeah, so we thought, let's go to Goa because Goa is Goa. We'll get amazing
Yeah.
location. So we started planning our trip. We didn't have a lot of time, so my team was out. One went to H&M, one went to Marks and Spencer. They were looking at swimsuits. So we put together 5 6 swimsuits, and we looked at a lot of references. So for me, Ashley Graham and
Yes.
Iskra are two like big inspirations, because both of them have made it into mainstream
Yeah.
fashion. So we collected like a bank of images. So because I didn't know how to pose,
Hmm.
what how to
Feel
be in
comfortable.
front of the camera. So we looked at images, we tried out a lot, and I did it with my friend Piyush, because I'm comfortable with him.
Hmm.
And so initially we just booked an Airbnb with a pool.
Hmm.
We thought we'll do shots around the pool. And then Piyush was constantly like, we should go to the beach, we should go to the beach. And I was not very keen on the idea, because I'm a little scared of water, because I don't know how to swim,
Okay.
despite the swimming lessons that started my
Yeah,
beauty
your beauty
blogging
journey.
journey.
Yes.
Um, but he was like, no, we should go at sunset or sunrise, we'll get amazing shots. And he has a very artistic eye for things. So he's not someone who will just, shoot some pictures and give it to you. He wants to create beautiful images.
Hmm.
So I was not very excited about the beach idea. I was like, people will be watching, people will watch, especially if we are shooting, and all of those things happened. But at the same time, we just had so much fun
Okay.
with that. And I just decided, like, at some point, that even if it scares you, once you decide you're going to do it, just go through with it.
Hmm.
You can't listen to every fear that's cropping up in your mind. And I remember my manager Karishma, so she was holding a portable light, Piyush is shooting. I'm scared of the water, but Piyush is like, no, 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 the water needs to be there, and people are watching. So I'm constantly looking at everyone. Who's People
Yeah.
were standing and watching us nicely. No one was in the least embarrassed that they were all staring at us. And
Right.
Karishma was shouting at me, no one is here, it's only you, me, and Piyush. Like, don't look at anyone, it's only us now, get comfortable.
Okay.
So yeah, such good memories we have from that trip.
Yeah.
And it was unexpected, I would say that. I'm sorry, I'm going on and on.
No, that's
It's the
perfectly
topic
right.
that's
It's
exciting.
giving me no, it's giving me such goosebumps you sharing that, because I'm like, if I was you, my heart would have been beating so fast. I wouldn't have been able to pose. And look at the pictures that came out, so natural, so well done, so good, good. I mean, even if it was unexpected, I think it was a great shoot, and
Yeah.
I feel like this what you shared. Everybody goes through that, and my God,
Mm.
people watching on social media is bad enough because you can't see the people watching, and people watching you live must have been tough.
You feel conscious, you feel a little bit embarrassed also, because you don't really see women wearing a two-piece bathing suit on Indian beaches.
Yeah.
So anyway, no one on that beach. This was, I think, Ashram Beach in Goa. Firstly, no one was in a bathing suit. People were just in their normal clothes, just walking around. And a lot of people actually just sat down on the rocks in front of us, and they're nicely sitting and, like, watching. So it's like an audience that you're performing
Right.
for. And
Happens
a
in
lot of the
India.
laughter was like my nervous laughter, because I'm like, why are they just sitting like that? Like, no shame. Like, I won't do that to someone else in
Yeah.
public. Just sit down and stare at them. Yeah, but
Happens in India, I guess. This is very,
yeah.
I'm sure, common. And plus, they must have thought like movie star. You know how we all rush
Yeah,
if
they
there's a
must have thought, like,
Bollywood.
what's going on? Even though I'm sure it's nowhere near Bollywood production, one photographer and one girl holding a portable light. Um, But after a point they also got bored and they walked away, and I thought,
Okay.
I have to do my thing. And having people around me who were encouraging me, and telling me, like, like, forget these people, it's just us.
Yeah.
It really helped, because if I
Okay.
didn't have that support, I don't think I would have gone to the comfort level and confidence level, because it would take me time to warm up also. Like the first 15-20 pictures would be me, not really looking very relaxed. And
Mm,
it's crazy how everything can translate in pictures.
right.
The way you're holding your muscles, if you're
Mm,
like tense, it shows on the picture.
okay.
Yeah, so after shooting for half an hour, 1 hour is when I would get relaxed and comfortable and be able to follow the directions. And Piyush would say, like, now turn your shoulders this side, now turn your face that side. So like I said, he's got a really good eye. So
Mm,
having him also giving me some help,
yeah.
so finally we got the pictures we did, and it was such a high for all of us, because
After.
we were not expecting to get the kind of beautiful images that we could capture that day with the sunset and everything.
Yeah. Um, Actually, you make a very interesting point. The thing
Mm.
is, of course, goosebump moment when you're sharing this, because I can actually see it happening. But the point that you make is, if you did not have that support,
Mm.
it would have been harder for you. So that's really important for everybody, if they
Yeah.
are facing up to their fears, or if they're doing something that's
Mm.
challenging them, to build people, to get together with people who support them
Yeah.
versus people who are tearing them down. So that's really an interesting point. And I feel like for the audience is a big takeaway. Surround yourself with people who can push you and
Yeah.
support you while you're making that journey. But
Yeah.
how does it feel now that you've done it? Does it get easier?
I'd say, like, how you feel towards your body, especially if you don't fit into the normal
No.
acceptable standard of beauty or attractiveness. It's something that you need to constantly work on.
Mm,
Like now, I haven't shot myself in months. Only recently, I did a lookbook with some dresses I
I saw.
bought,
Mm,
but for a few months, I hadn't shot anything. I moved here. There was stress, there was unorganized eating, I put on a bit of weight. And
mm,
that, always, it's something you're constantly with self-talk and with logic. You have to talk to yourself, and it's okay if you've put on weight.
right.
And people do notice, people leave nasty comments, and I get those every day, every time I put out a picture or a video. So it gets easier, but I won't say it's you know an end you reach and you never
Mm,
go back. It's a journey. You go back and then you make some progress, and again, anything can push you back a bit. But once you've done it, you know how to internalize it. So rather than all that wrong messaging and that inner
mm,
critic,
mm,
once you've done it, you know how to bring yourself back to that state of confidence and acceptance.
right. A great segue into my next question. I was going to ask you, like, tell me what body positivity is,
Hmm.
and the work you've done on yourself. So the work that you've done on yourself is like you're sharing the self talk, right? The
Hmm.
dealing with it every day, and it doesn't. You're right; it never goes away. And I think at each level, it's a different. Like you level up, and then there's another challenge that you have to
Hmm.
deal with. What
Yeah.
is the so to you? What does body positivity mean? One. Second, what's the self talk? Like, how are you pushing yourself through this? Because that would be really interesting for women who are exactly where, I mean, we all are, right? And you are, and you went through this. Would love to hear.
So for me, body positivity is, it starts with accepting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It starts with being comfortable and seeing your beauty and realizing your beauty, just how you are. And it's also, some days you may not be feeling super positive, but even being neutral is okay. Like
Mm,
if you just see yourself in the mirror and you may not be feeling like, oh, I look so beautiful, even if you just feel like, I look okay today, rather than thinking, like, my thighs are looking so fat in this, or maybe I should change, like that sort of a thing. So
Yeah.
even, being body neutral to me is a win,
Okay.
because I can remember since the age of 12 is when I started feeling like, I'm a little overweight, or maybe other people, other girls in my school, they look thinner, all those things. So for like decades, it was, every time I would wear an outfit, there would be a little tiny bit of judgment coming from inside myself, where I would think like, I'm not looking perfect. So how I can manipulate my way into looking perfect by changing the outfit and, those things like that. So for me, even if I, just look at myself and I don't pass any judgment, I don't feel any like, oh, this is the area I need to work on, sort of a thing, that for me is also a win. Yeah.
Yeah. I would think, and that's really like a starting point, and then people can just keep doing that often. Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. Stay tuned as we take a quick break, and we'll see you on the other side of the show. So, then my next question is, what is your advice to women who are going through a similar journey? Let's say we're talking with someone who currently feels really bad about themselves, don't have support, have a lot of judgment, have a lot of criticism, and they really don't know what they should do, either for their mental well-being or physical well-being. Where should they start? What's your advice?
I think, for a lasting change, it has to start from inside. But when you've been conditioned to look at, any non-standard body as, not good enough, not attractive, not healthy, not fit, not beautiful, all our internal sort of dialogues have come from that conditioning. What people, growing up, the messaging we got, what we saw in the media, all those things. So starting point, people say it has to start from within, but I can say this, that all the language I have within me is already like so critical of myself.
Right.
So you have to change your environment, what kind of content you consume, who are the people you look up to, how are these people perceiving their bodies. So I had some friends who were so constantly critical of their body. So every time I spent time with them, there was this constant messaging that was being fed. So, I had to distance myself a little bit. So, first, you have to change your external environment. Everything that has, that's shaping your thoughts has to shift to a different messaging. Only once you surround yourself with that, I unfollowed a lot of people. Sorry, I've got fur.
That's fine.
I unfollowed a lot of people on Instagram, I would say around 2018, 2019, because I thought, every day I'm spending so much time on Instagram, and all I'm looking at these, really thin, supermodel like bodies. I'm constantly thinking, okay, this is my before, what I am right now, and that needs to be my after. So it would influence every, little decision. I'm about to have lunch, and I'll have that image of that some person I saw, multiple people I saw. So anyone who was perpetuating those kind of ideas, I started unfollowing, because I just thought, this is not helping me. Even if I lose a lot of weight, I've got really wide hips, so I'm never going to look like that. And this is something, I'd attended a retreat by Rajita Devekar, the nutritionist, and she said something which like changed my life. She said, we don't have acceptance for body diversity, and body diversity means that people with different shapes and sizes can be healthy, can be fit. We accepting only a certain kind of body, and anything else we automatically deem it as unfit. And we give all this advice of how you can go on a diet and lose weight. So she that really struck with me, like it makes sense, like within any kind of species you have body diversity. Even if you look at animals, they're not all same, they look different. So yeah, that's what I started thinking. And because she's an expert I believed her more than I would believe anyone else, because she
Right.
has, that credibility. And in her retreats, I met a lot of people who other people would, look at them and say, like, they look unfit or they should
Mm.
lose weight, but they were really fit. They could like sprint,
Mm.
like, like a bullet. So, seeing these people, then seeing women like, Ashley Graham and other plus size models, when you see other people being happy, being confident, being strong, being fit, that is the biggest motivator, because then you can see, okay, if she can do it, it means it's possible. So I
Right.
can do it as well. So I think the starting point is, everything you're surrounding yourself with
Yeah.
has to change.
Yeah.
It has to be, what you are aspiring to. And that's when you can then start internalizing that messaging and how you
Right.
talk to yourself. You have to be very conscious of, that inner critic.
Mm.
Like when you look at yourself, I think for all of us, we judge first.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
when we get dressed every day, the first thing is judgment.
Yeah.
We are
It's
comparing.
ingrained. It's ingrained
It's so
in.
ingrained, and
Right.
it's a bit of a struggle. Like, I wear something and I think like, oh, my tummy is showing a little bit, maybe let me change into a black skirt
Mm.
instead of this.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
of that. So that's why I said it's a journey, because it's years and years of conditioning.
Right.
It's very hard to completely get away from it, but
Absolutely.
surrounding yourself with positivity
Yeah.
and better messaging, I think that's how it starts.
Okay. Some really brilliant points. I feel like that's surrounding yourself with the right people, better messaging, the people that you follow, your environment is the first thing that you want to start at. I think some great points. And yes, so many plus size women relegated to that black wardrobe, which
Mm.
is something that we've got to, get over. And yes, the inner critic is always there, and there's a lot to unpack. And I think even when people start their journey, they shouldn't expect that it's going to happen overnight, but it's just going to be like it's going to be a process. So on that note, what is I know you get a lot of negativity and trolls and all of that as well. um, how do you deal with it? It's easy to uh, I mean, is it easier because they're online? And how do you deal with the negativity which is offline as well? When you meet people, you get comments and criticism. How do you deal with both?
I would say offline, I don't really get that
Mm.
anymore.
Okay.
I think also because I carry myself with, a confidence and, almost like a feeling of power. I don't think people say those things to me anymore like they used to a long time back.
Mm.
Um, and so offline, it's not a problem. Like no one says
Says that.
anything like that. Yeah. Online, yeah, it is a bit of a problem. And um, again, I feel like, how I respond to things also depends a lot on my mental state. If I'm feeling a bit vulnerable, I get a little upset for some time.
Mm.
And then, I try to tell myself this is not going to matter in 5 years. So I should not spend more than 5 seconds thinking about this person's opinion.
Mm.
Um, Another thing that has happened is earlier I used to, just delete negative comments very quickly,
Okay.
because yeah. So when you feel hurt, it's because, or upset or judged, or when you feel shame, it's because somewhere inside you're agreeing with that person's judgment of you.
Mm.
There's a small part of you that thinks, she's actually right when
Yeah.
she's saying I should lose a little weight. So and understanding this really like changed my perspective, because you get a lot of sort of surface level advice, like, I don't think about it, just ignore it. But like I said, that's very surface level advice that doesn't help. You're just, doing like a cosmetic solution to the problem by distracting yourself and not thinking about it. But understanding that why is this affecting me, it's because is that how I actually really deep down think of myself. So that really helped me understanding that.
Mm.
And yeah, so 99% of the time I don't respond to people. If it's a very nasty comment, I just block people.
Mm.
If it's something that's said in a polite way, because there's a lot of this concern trolling, like, I'm
Mm.
concerned for your health, I'm not a hater, but there's so many ways you could be fitter and in better shape.
Wow.
I'm just concerned about your health and all these. So there's a
Wow.
lot of this also. And what I've noticed is, now within my audience there are people who come to my defense, so I
Mm.
kind of let it play out in the comment sections. I don't step in.
Right.
And whenever I do respond to someone, I always make sure that I come from a very logical place,
Mm.
and I come, also come off polite. I don't, that's something that's very important to me, that value. I don't want to be using any bad words or trying
Mm.
to shame someone. But usually my response would be something like, why does it bother you if I'm
Mm.
overweight? If you think I'm overweight, you don't know me, I don't know you, why does it bother you?
Mm.
Something like that, which is the right response. Like,
Yeah.
we don't know each other, we are strangers. Why does it bother you so much that you'll get into this comment war of trying to make me realize that I
Yeah.
should get on a diet?
Right.
Yeah. So I think it does get easier with time. I think in the beginning it used to affect me. And I'll tell you a little story. So last year, I partnered with L'Oreal Paris. I was one of their ambassadors for India.
Mm.
So as part of our agreement, there was going to be a few shoots done by L'Oreal, which was
Mm-hmm.
going to go up on the L'Oreal Paris channel.
Okay.
So the first one that I shot, I was wearing a sleeveless. I was wearing jeans, fitted jeans, and the camera frame was quite wide. So you
Mm.
can see my whole body. I'm sitting, and that video got 3 million views. Most
Wow.
of the people just talking about, wow, I never realized she was so fat, because on her own YouTube she only shows her face.
Wow.
And I remember I was in the UK, I was visiting James when that video went up. And initially, when it went up, there were hundreds of mean comments, like hundreds. And I was feeling upset. I was a little bit, but I decided not to respond to anyone. But people get really nasty. Like, people will
Mm.
say things like, "Bhains ko to bhains hi kahenge na," like things like that.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I just realized, okay, their value system is something else. It's not mine. I would never say that to anyone, online or offline.
Yeah.
So it's a waste of my time if I try to engage with this person who's, saying
So
things
mean.
like that to some,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, people get pretty nasty. But
Wow.
over time, you learn to, the time it takes you to recover
Mm.
from a nasty
That.
comment becomes
Yeah.
lesser and lesser.
Okay.
Earlier, I would think about it for maybe 2 hours. Now I think about it for 10 seconds and I move on to something else.
Wow. When we look at your pictures, I mean, I've learned so much in this concern trolling, and people
Yeah.
just so vile and so mean. And, when you think about it, 1 million views, 3 million views, but with it comes so much, there are people who are judging and criticizing, and what people see in real life who are going through whatever, and it can be plus size or it could be some other reason that they're going through something and getting
Mm.
criticized. It's such a small fraction of what you all go through. So,
Yeah.
it looks glamorous, amazing 400K, 300K following on Insta. I wish I could have that, obviously. I mean, everyone would think that. And then you're like 1 million plus following, but it comes with all of this, and dealing with
Yeah.
it takes. And I think you deal with it very beautifully. I know one of the values you spoke about was being polite, but I think your other values are also about being accessible, you're humble, you're
Mm.
friendly online. You don't. I mean, those are the values that you portray online, and I think kudos to you, because no matter all of this, it's easy to be. Sometimes there's not the right balance, right? It's easy to be out there and say, take it or leave it. This is who I am, and like
Mm.
just get
Sometimes I'm really tempted to say, I see a lot of creators say, like, feel free to unfollow me and
right.
things like that. And I'm very tempted to say, but I know later I won't feel happy about how I reacted. I'm just in the heat of the moment wanting to say that. But I just think I'll never say that to someone in real life. So I'm not
Yeah.
going to write it online.
Okay.
Yeah.
So but actually, as we come to the end of this interview, where does all this maturity,
Mm,
um, like the real Ankita, right? All this, the person that you become, the journey that
mm,
you've gone through, where does it come from? What's your strength? How do you draw? I mean, this change, how you manage your transformation. Um, Tell me a little bit about the person behind that camera. Of course, you shared so much, but the strength that you get, where does it come from, and who's your support?
mm. I think I've gone through a lot of things during, I would say, my 20s.
Mm,
I got married really early. It wasn't a happy marriage. I got divorced at when I was 28. And I think that was like a big turning point for me. And before that, for years, I was depressed,
mm,
undiagnosed. I was too ashamed to say anything. People closest to me would know, but they also try to never acknowledge it or
mm,
guide me in the right direction. So I think I had just been so unhappy for so long that I just started thinking, I actually made a list, everything that's making me unhappy. I'm going to start eliminating all of this one by one, because if I'm not happy, what's the point of anything? What's the point of all my hard work, achievements, anything, if at the end of the day I feel so sad and miserable all the time? So how I feel about my body was one of those things.
mm.
Because for me, it was always like, I'm always trying to get to a certain weight and things like that. And that's what's always kind of
Yeah.
stopping me from experiencing life fully, from stopping me from wearing certain things,
Mm,
from, feeling confident in certain situations. So I just thought, there has to be a different way, because, I want to be happy. That's the bottom line. So this is just another some a challenge, and I need to uh, deal with this. Okay,
mm,
I'm just going to stop worrying about this so much. You like me, you like me. You don't like me, you don't like me. That's how it is.
mm.
Not everyone has to like you. Not everyone has to agree with everything you feel about yourself.
Right.
So I think that really led me to that period of my life. I would say 7, 8 years of that. It just taught me a lot of things. So
Yeah.
now, I mean, for someone who doesn't know my story, I do talk about it, time to time on my Instagram. I don't hide anything. And, so many women have actually written to me like, they are in unhappy and unsafe situations, but they don't know how to separate or how to initiate
Mm,
a divorce. And I've tried to help whenever I can, because in my situation, I didn't have like family support, I didn't have any friends. So I
mm,
really had to draw upon all my strength and courage to get through that myself. And at that time, I thought, if I can get through this, I can get through anything in my life.
mm.
Um, so that really difficult period made me a lot stronger. So I think someone who just sees my life right now, they see a very rosy picture. They say
Mm.
like, I have a very doting fiance, I have two beautiful,
Dogs.
cuddly dogs, I've got so many followers and all that, but it's come with a lot of ups and downs.
Right.
So I think it's always the hardships that make you stronger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautifully said. And thank you so much for spending this time with me, sharing your story. And I think this is the message for women out there that, I mean, there's been so many things that you've shared, but the things that stand out is it's going to be a journey. So,
Mm,
start by changing your environment. Hardships will teach you to be stronger, and you just have to focus on yourself. There will be real life trolling and online
mm,
trolling and criticism. It's a part and parcel of life, uh, but we have to work through it in our own ways and overcome it. And I'm sure, like, there's so many other brilliant messages in this conversation, and all the stories that you shared. It's been a very interesting chat so long, Ankita. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this chat. It just felt like, talking to a friend. And while you were recapping, the takeaway from this session, I just remember there's one other thing I want to add is, and I feel especially women tend to struggle more with this, is we look for validation externally. We want approval, approving messages from people around us. And that's why loving ourselves becomes such a difficult thing to do. So I think we need to realize the only opinion that matters is what we think of ourselves. Yeah. And that's like a really lasting way. And it's something that grounds you and really helps you build a foundation of, being proud of who you are.
Yeah. Brilliant. Oh, brilliant closing message to all the women out here. You're someone who's an inspiration to me. But what connects you to me and to many people, I'm sure, is your authenticity, or like your humility, the way you share. All of this connects to people, and I'm continue to do what you do. Continue with this journey. I'm sure you're going to impact so many lives. And all the very best to you, Ankita. Thank you so much for showing up.
Thank you so much, Savita. It's been a pleasure.
And wait, Coralista on Instagram, on YouTube?
Yeah. So on Instagram, it's Coralista blog.
Okay.
And or even if you search my name, Ankita Chaturvedi, you'll find me everywhere.
Right. And of course, to find you on YouTube for all the videos. But thank you so much once again. And
thank you, Savita.
We'll talk soon.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to the podcast. If you like this episode and you want more, you can go to the show notes on my website, which is successwithsavita.com/podcast. If you like what you've heard so far, I would be grateful to you if you could leave me a 5-star review, subscribe to this podcast, and share with a friend who may find this useful. You can also follow me on my Instagram at successwithsavita and DM me any questions you may have, and I will be happy to answer them for you. Until the next episode, believe in yourself and all the best to your success.